And now will the MWSS grant the petition of the two concessionaires which supply water for Metro Manila. The two companies are Manila Water and Maynilad. Today, public consultations were conducted by the MWSS and the two concessionaires to explain to consumers of water in Metro Manila on the pending petition. Now the question is, will there be a rate adjustment or not? And how much more will it cost the consumer? Joining us tonight live on NewsLive is Mr. Emmanuel Caparas, the Chief Regulator of the MWSS. Good evening, sir, and welcome to NewsLive.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, can you please explain to our people why was there a need for a public consultation and on the proposed adjustments in water rate filed by Maynilad and Manila Water?
Well, public consultations are necessary in the whole scheme of things because we want to be transparent about what happens in the industry. And the public consultations are there not just to tell the people that a rate adjustment is coming, but to tell people, to inform them what is behind these rate adjustments that are being proposed. Now, what we had this morning was not just a public consultation, but very live and active discussions where people were able to air their views and air their sentiments about our concessionaires, which I think was very good.
Could you just give us a brief view of what were the main issues being raised by the public?
Well, many of the issues raised by the consumers were very personal to them, to their neighbors, basically quality of the service that they were receiving from the concessionaires. But then again, the higher issues that were raised pertain to why the rate has to be adjusted, to the reasons behind this. What about projects in the past that were promised but were probably not fully delivered or not delivered at all? And overall, it's a very live and active discussion, which we were all very happy about because we were able to raise the level of discussions to a level that basically were not reached in previous consultations.
So on the side of Maynilad and Manila Water, what did these two companies present to the consumers? Did these include their financial statements and their programs and their future projects?
Oh, essentially, they were able to present what they had been able to accomplish in past years. They were able to present their vision for Metro Manila in terms of water service delivery. And both of them were able to present details of their business plans moving forward, which again had not been done in previous consultations and which was very enlightening for the consumers today.
So what is the formula which will determine how much rate hike will be granted or if not at all?
Well, the concession agreement under which we operate provides a framework, and under that framework, the concessionaires, they those projects that they want to undertake for the metropolis. These are based, of course, on obligations which have been predetermined. These are based also on legal obligations. And they present also the costs for all of these projects that they wish to undertake for the metropolis. When you put that all together, it's a fairly complicated formula, but when you see it all together and you gather all the factors together, these are what determine the rate of how it is to be adjusted and how much.
So during the public consultations, did you arrive at any decision, or was there any recommendation, or did you also find any grounds as to the complaints of the consumers?
Well, the public consultations were very interesting, again, very enlightening. We did hear a lot of complaints or a lot of sentiments being expressed, and many of them we've encountered them in the past, so basically we will know how to address them. But others, of course, these are new sentiments that we heard, and we are factoring them in now as we go into our rate rebasing. Overall, again, I'd like to thank the public for coming and participating in the public consultations because, they probably don't realize it, but these help evolve the industry. These help us know better, know more, and know better and how best to address their concerns.
Sir, there was resistance from the group WARM, which is opposed to the petition. In fact, they are charging the MWSS and the concessionaires to refund $6 billion in advance collection for two projects which they claim was never implemented. Is there a basis for this appeal of this group?
Well, there are projects that were not implemented in the past. Now, the request for a refund and, all the other statements that were made by the representatives of WARM, we have to frame that in the proper context, and the context is basically the framework of the concession agreement. The concession agreement between MWSS and the concessionaires really does not provide for a monetary refund, an immediate or a direct refund to the consumer, except in the form of a rate adjustment. And all of these, we are able to determine this precisely during the rate rebasing period, which we are undertaking now.
So now that you've gone through this public consultation, you've heard the complaints of the consumers, and you've also heard the side of Maynilad and Manila Water on their projects and why they say that they need a rate hike. Now, how do you assess now the performance of the concessionaires in supplying water for Metro Manila? Are they supplying clean and safe water? And is their service actually serving the best interest of Metro Manila's population?
Well, ever since the start of the concession agreement and over the years, there have been targets set for the concessionaires. There have been service obligations that were provided. And essentially, the concessionaires have to meet these targets. They have to satisfy these obligations. Overall, we have to admit that they have done a good job. Now, they have been able to deliver services to the consumers. They have been able to deliver on their promises. Of course, nobody's perfect, and there are some aspects, of course, that need improvement. There are projects, very important projects, that still need to be undertaken. And that is exactly what the regulatory office is looking at and looking into right now during the rate rebasing period. We're making sure that they have complied.
Sir, if they actually don't, are there penalties that should be given to these concessionaires?
Well, the agreement provides for some penalty or some penalties, and we are also looking into other penalties that can fairly and reasonably be imposed of non-performance. But all in all, it's not been an easy task, of course, but we continue to discuss and we continue to dialogue with consumers and the concessionaires to get the best for all parties concerned.
Sir, a final word. How can we assure the public that these concessionaires will actually provide better service in the future?
Well, aside from all the rules that we have imposed, and aside from all the provisions of the contract that we are now executing, I'd just like to assure the public that your regulatory office is here working around the clock for you.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much for joining us here tonight at NewsLife. That was Mr. Emmanuel Caparas, Chief Regulator of the MWSS. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.